All right, today we're jumping into Isaiah chapter 10, and let me tell you, this prophecy reads like an absolute thriller. You've got the story of a massive, unstoppable empire heading straight for an unbreakable divine promise. Something's got to give, right? And that's really the core question here. On one hand, you have the Assyrian war machine. I mean, these guys were the superpower of their time, absolutely terrifying. And on the other hand, a promise from God to protect a city. So let's see how this incredible showdown plays out. Okay, so the prophecy kicks off, and you might expect the sounds of war, but no. It starts with a really surprising message of comfort. God is speaking directly to his people in Zion, which, is another name for Jerusalem. So check this out. God doesn't pretend the threat isn't real. He says it right here in verse 24. The Assyrians will strike them with a rod, just like the Egyptians did way back when. But even with that very real danger, the first thing he says is, don't be afraid. That just completely reframes everything, doesn't it? It's like he's saying, yeah, they're coming, but they're just a tool. I'm the one who's really in control here. And then in verse 25, it's like a timer gets set on the whole crisis. He says, this judgment on Jerusalem will only last for a very little while. And then, bam, God's anger completely pivots and gets redirected, full force, right at the Assyrians. The very tool he was using for judgment is about to get judged itself. Then in verse 26, God pulls from Israel's own history to make this powerful point. He's promising a rescue that's going to be just as incredible, just as miraculous, as the legendary win against Midian, or, get this, the parting of the Red Sea. He's basically saying, hey, remember me? I've done this before, and I'm about to do it again. So all this reassurance, it's all building up to this one climactic promise in a single, super powerful verse. Honestly, verse 27 is the hinge. It's where the whole prophecy turns. And the imagery here, wow, it's so powerful. The Assyrian oppression is called a yoke on the neck. Think of it like a symbol for total slavery. But here's the kicker. This yoke isn't just going to be taken off. It's going to be completely destroyed. And the reason for this is packed into one key phrase: because of the anointing. So what is this anointing he's talking about? Well, it's a direct callback to the sacred, unbreakable promise God made to King David way back when. He promised David that his family line and his kingdom in Jerusalem would last forever. And this verse from 2 Kings really nails it down. It shows us the foundation for this whole promise. See, Jerusalem isn't going to be saved because the people there are perfect. Far from it. It's for 2 reasons: for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. This is all about God's own character and his faithfulness to a promise he made a long time ago. Okay, so with that promise of rescue still ringing in our ears, the prophecy takes a sharp turn. It's like the camera pans away, and now we get this terrifying, super vivid picture of the Assyrian army just marching, seemingly unstoppable, straight for Jerusalem. Starting in verse 28, Isaiah gives us this chilling play-by-play of the invasion. And this isn't just a list of towns on a map, you guys. It's a countdown to disaster. Every single town he names, Aiath, Migron, Michmash, it's like another domino falling, bringing that massive Assyrian army one step closer and closer to Jerusalem. And then in verse 32, they make it. They reach Nob, which is literally within sight of Jerusalem. And the Assyrian king, he's so arrogant, so totally sure he's already won, that he just shakes his hand at the city. It's a gesture of pure contempt, like he's just swatting away a fly. And get this wasn't just some poetic detail. This was a real historical event. It was basically psychological warfare. Sennacherib's ambassador, a guy named Rabshakeh, actually stood outside the city walls and tried to intimidate the people, bully them into just giving up. So the tension is just through the roof, right? The enemy is literally at the gates, they're mocking the city, and right at that moment, when all hope seems lost, the story reveals who's really in charge. And talk about a plot twist. Suddenly, the Lord is pictured as this divine woodsman, just stepping onto the scene with terrifying power. He's about to take an axe to this huge Assyrian tree, and guess what? The tallest, proudest branches are coming down first. And this woodsman isn't just swinging wildly. He's got specific targets. The bough, that's the very top branch, that's King Sennacherib himself. And the high ones of stature, those are his arrogant army commanders.
Verse 33 is crystal clear. They will all be hewn down.
The metaphor just gets bigger and more intense in verse 34. Now, it's not just a tree, it's the whole Assyrian army, described as a thick, dense forest. And it's all about to be completely leveled by a mighty one who's wielding iron.
So who is this mighty one with the axe? Well, it's not a human army. We're told this is a powerful angel sent straight from God to carry out this judgment.
And that brings us to the actual historical event, the fulfillment of this whole prophecy. And the number, well, the number is just staggering. This isn't just a nice story. This is history. In one single night, just like the prophecy said, the angel of the Lord went out and struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in their camp. Can you even imagine? When the sun came up the next morning, Sennacherib's unstoppable army was just gone. The siege was over. The yoke was shattered. And this just leaves us with a final, really challenging question. The whole story shows us the world's biggest superpower not as some independent force, but as just a temporary tool, a rod, an axe, in God's hands. It really makes you stop and ask, what does real power actually look like? And who's the one truly holding it?